Dennis Rodriguez. Hi, my name is Khadijah Williams.
My name is Frank Wilson.
My name is Tamara, and I identify myself with being black.
And I consider myself black. And I consider myself black.
And I consider myself being black.
I do consider myself black because just because I don't know, I feel that that's what I consider myself. When somebody asks me a question, they say, "What do you say? Are you black?" I say I'm black. That's what I am. That's what all my parents always told me. They never said anything else. Like, you're black. It doesn't matter what I'm mixed with down the road or my ancestors. At the end of the day, when I get put back to slavery, they would consider me black.
But how do you know that you have ancestors that were slaves?
Well, I definitely know I have ancestors that were slaves because of my dad and all my family's from the South.
Because you're still alive. Like, no, this sounds crazy, but this sounds crazy, but this is what happened. Your generation started a while back.
I know out in Spain, my professor had told me, he goes, I know that you're mixed with something because of the color of your skin. Emilio said this to me. He said because, because you don't look like the typical African that's out in Spain. He's like, you're lighter complexion, so I know that your family was definitely mixed, back in the day. But he was like, you're black, and I was like, of course. Like, I would never say I'm not black. I'm not gonna say my great grandmother was white or nothing like that. That doesn't matter to me because what am I today? What do people consider me today? They're not gonna say, what's your nationality? Like, what they're not gonna ask me. They're gonna consider me black from the day that they look at me.
I consider myself black because, and my ancestors, my parents are from the Dominican Republic, and I have ancestors that were African most likely. Or because when the Spaniard conquered Hispaniola, they brought a bunch of African slaves and Spanish people that mixed themselves. So I would consider myself black because it's still in my ancestry, and I can't deny that.
Now, the question is, do you identify yourself with the black stereotype, or do you consider yourself as just black? Because the black stereotype is in American society, the black stereotype, even if you can be in a rich neighborhood or whatever, at the end of the day, they're going to think you came from a poor neighborhood. They're going to think that you came up and you got out the hood, rather than saying, why can't I just be a person who became successful for myself?
Mm.
So that's the question I'm confused about. Is like, are you saying black is the stereotype that white America thinks it is? Black people who are poor, who live in the hood, who, the stereotype pretty much, who don't know proper English, who don't work, who live off of welfare. That's what the stereotype is.
Mm-hmm.
So, is that the question? Like, do you consider yourself not consider yourself, but like, do you kind of relate to the black stereotype, or do you just say, I'm just black? Like, there is no stereotype behind me.
Yeah.
I'm who I am. When somebody asks me that question, I'm just going to say I'm black without wanting them to think.
Why would anyone want to relate themselves to a stereotype?
Well, with questions like, I don't play ball, but like, I know people that are just like, oh, you don't play basketball.
Like that. Like that.
Yeah.
Ball is his life.
But when people like come up and say like, oh, yo, you don't play basketball, like, oh, you're not black. Or like, oh, you don't like fried chicken, oh, you're not black. Or you don't talk a certain way, yo, you're not black.
I see what you're saying now.
Like, that's what I mean. Like, what makes black? Like, what makes that to be black? Like, who determines that's black? Like, I can get up and say, yo, I'm from Beverly Hills, but I'm blacker than 1201. You know what I'm saying? Like, but I'm still black. But like some people will look at you and be like, oh, you're not black because look at where you're from.
I think that's the question that people are trying to still figure out.
Yeah.
And I don't think that that question is going to be answered until the stereotype of black people changes. Because at the end of the day, I still think 10 years from now, people are going to say I'm black and they're still going to consider them to be a part of that type of society. They're still going to think, well, if you talk white, then you're not black. If you don't play basketball, then you're not black. If you didn't have a struggle, then you're not black. It's like some people are not like that. Like it's just like, why do you have to be black to have a struggle or something like that? Like everybody wants a story from a black person who's a basketball player, and it's sad that a lot of people in the NBA has that story of my mother was a crackhead or I was raised by my grandmother or something like that, and it's sad, but it's like that's what society is. And until people who start to go to the NBA are like, no, I played AAU all my life. My parents had the money to put me through this, and my parents had the money to do that, rather than say my mom didn't have the money, so a white man supported me. That's when the stereotype is going to change, and that's when it's going to be like, I'm black, and it's going to be like, okay, you're just a person like the rest of us. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you're just someone who wanted to achieve. Like, it's just, that's what I see. Like, I don't see the stereotype changing of that until they see that multiple people are not from the hood or something like that. But I don't know.
I kind of feel like people attribute being black and playing basketball with people coming from the hood and like wanting to, like males, like wanting to do better for themselves, kind of in a sense, because maybe they felt like that was the only ticket out of the hood. So I mean, I don't really like every person. Granted I'm black, but every black person I see, I'm not gonna be like, oh, he played basketball, like he's a basketball player. Or I'm not gonna run up to him and be like, yo, you play basketball? Like, I don't. You guys sound for that.
Me personally, I don't think the stereotype will ever go away. Just on some fact of like, I walk around campus and like I see a white person and think like, oh, this is just somebody, they automatically ripped out more money than me, they bougie, nose in the air. Then but the thing is like Khadija said, like, all right, the black stereotype will go away when the basketball players like, oh, my parents have money, this, that, and the other. Right? One was the white stereotype go away, one was the Spanish stereotype go away. So I feel as though more as like there's a stereotype out there for some type of race, I don't think it will ever go away. And it's just like, it's just something that like remains in society, in my opinion.
I think that the stereotype is not going to go away because they don't want it to go away. Because nobody sits around and say, you hear, oh, they're from, the ghetto. And when you think of ghetto, you think of black people. But at the end of the day, there's more Caucasian people who live in the hood than black people. There's more Caucasian people on welfare than there is minorities. There's more Caucasian people, or white people at that, who sell drugs, but there's more black people in the jail. So nobody says that. But when you think of people who sell drugs, you think of black people. So it's more of what America puts out rather than what's the actual truth until you get to college and you learn these things. Because I'm not going to lie, until I had a criminal justice class in this school, I would have never thought that there was more white people who sold drugs than black people, because when you hear who's in jail for selling drugs, you only hear the minorities. So it's like they don't consider the white people in jail who sell drugs, like, not to say minorities, because at the end of the day they're from the hood also, but they would never put that out because they don't want to make it seem like there's white people who sell drugs. When you look at the actual statistics, that's what it is. And it's just sad because they want people to stay below, and they're just going to keep putting that out there until somebody proves them wrong.